Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Um, I'm still feeling pretty wiped out from yesterday's attack. It was really bad. It's an attack on my well-being, my psychology. I don't want this to come off sounding over the top. You come away feeling like maybe you were. It puts your mind in a state of panic, anxiety. I can tell you that with all certainty, I was ready to fight until I was dead. No exaggeration. Uh, and that kind of anxiety, it leaves you with very bad trauma scars. So I don't really know if I can pull off a full episode here today. Um, I was terribly overcome with grief, emotion, great sadness over the violation of my rights. Um, just wanting to be treated like an equal citizen. So that's where I was coming from. So I'm sorry if I kind of fell to pieces there. I'm crying as I was singing my spiritual Bible hymns. Just trying to connect with my understanding of God, and that I could possibly be comforted in my last moments of life. Um, not exaggerating. I am ready to fight until I die. Anyway, came across this video today. It's a little 4-minute segment on Sweden and how they responded to the fake pandemic. Let's see if we can take a look, and hopefully I'll do what I do, and that's expose the fake pandemic. Let's see what they have to say.
This ICU unit in central Stockholm lies virtually empty, with just one coronavirus patient receiving care. This was the scene in April at the height.
Okay, they're saying that this is the scene in April during the height of their great pandemic. April, pretty much the world was gripped in fear. I will admit, I guess I was too. I mean, hello, this is the guy that was on the phone with CDC, not CDC, but all kinds of governmental agencies. I think I ended up talking to the ATF, to make cold medicine available to everybody. I think I told you guys about that. But this is what they're showing us as what is supposed to be a cram-packed, overflowing hospital. We see this bed over here is numbered 6. This bed is numbered 7. And over here, where the monitor is actually turned off. But what the hell? I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe the monitor wasn't needed at that moment, and that there is, because we see there's stuff blocking the actual bed. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure if there's anybody inside bed number 7, but you know what? How about if we just give them a big, fat, rounded 10? We'll give them a 10, a solid 10, right? Rating scale. Let's just say that this ward contained 10 beds. I'll hit play here, and you'll see that there is no panning around, even though they could easily blur sensitive information. There is no walking about the ward. There is no demonstrating to a person like myself that this is real. The hospital is overflowing with sick people. We never saw any of this. Shots like this were the best that we ever got. 9 months into this hoax, this is the best we ever got. Our close crop shots of hospital. It's the corner of a wing. It's not even an entire floor. It's not even an entire floor. It's just simply a few beds. Like I said, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they had 10 beds. Now, if there were more patients, then it was your responsibility as a journalist to show us more. You never did. This is why, and so many other reasons. This is just one of an entire laundry list of reasons as to why I call this a fake pandemic. So I'm sorry, I'll give you 10. Even though I don't see 10, all I see technically is I see 2 beds, maybe 3. But what the hell, I'll give you 10 beds with sick people in it. Now let's take a look at Sweden's society.
Of the Swedish pandemic, with the unit inundated. Outside, bars, shops and schools remained open throughout. No lockdown, but people were given official guidance on how to sanitize and when to socially distance, and they largely abided by those rules. Masks were never mandated here, with a senior government shops and schools.
I just want to go back.
This was the scene in April at the height of the Swedish pandemic, with the unit inundated. Outside is virtually empty.
Okay, our reporter said that the unit was inundated. I'm sorry, I don't see inundated. I see a few people in beds. I guess they are critical care beds. I'll call it that. ICU beds. I see a handful. Maybe 10. Where are your sick? Where are your floor and after floor? Where are your row after row of sick people? Okay? Where?
Largely abided by those rules. Masks were never mandated here, with a senior government source telling CNN that they're regarded here as largely superficial. After an initial surge in the death rate, well above the Scandinavian average, Sweden now has one of the lowest death rates in Europe. Most of the casualties were elderly. 9 out of 10 were over 70 years old, and 45% of all deaths were in care homes. That's raised the question about the rest of society. The younger the...
All right, I hit the pause here. So when I go like that, I want you guys to pay a special attention. When we saw that graphic, that chart, what did you hear when they were showing you the chart? They said that there was a surge in deaths, didn't they? And they showed you a big... They showed you a big, I believe it was green. A big green chart that came along and went, whoa, boy, lots of death. And then it came back down. Okay. That's what they showed you. They showed you a chart like that with a huge spike, and they and they used the word deaths. Okay. Let's take a look back and see what actually was, though. New confirmed cases. They're showing you a chart of people who tested positive because they have the antibody. They have the antibody because they came in contact with one of several coronaviruses. Again, the test is not that specific for what is called COVID-19. It's not. It tests you for antibodies. These are tests that show that people's immune systems are working. Tricked you, didn't it? This is corporate media beguiling you. They talked about deaths, but when you take a closer look, it's new confirmed cases. I'm going to take it back. Let's do a little count as to exactly how many seconds our graphic is on screen, shall we? Let's just see.
That they're regarded here as largely superficial. After an initial surge in the death rate, well above the Scandinavian average, Sweden now has one of the lowest death rates in Europe. Most of the casualties were elderly, 9.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me counting or not. That was about 7 seconds that the graphic was on screen while they were talking about deaths. Okay, so they're talking about deaths, but they're showing you a chart for cases positive. They're showing you a chart of people who successfully fought off the virus. And need I remind you that that is not a chart for even hospitalizations. It's not a chart for death. It's not a chart for hospitalizations. It's just a chart for people who have antibodies. It's a chart of people who have the ability to fight off COVID. It's kind of what he begins to talk about. Let's listen some more.
Out of 10 were over 70 years old, and 45% of all deaths were in care homes. That's raised the question about the rest of society, the younger, the healthier. Did they develop some sort of resistance to the virus as they interacted?
It's possible that we have been building up some immunity that contributes to the present state.
But when people in Stockholm were tested for immunity, only 7% had enough antibodies to fight the disease.
Okay. They said when they were tested, only 7% had antibodies. And again, the way this is being spoken about, it could be misleading. It's just like our graphic chart, should I say, excuse me. Only 7%. Oh no. What that means is that only 7% of people came in contact with the virus. In other words, the virus barely exists. But definitely barely exists to put people in the hospital or kill them, but it barely even exists to cause you to produce an antibody. He talks a little bit more about it. They make they speak about the difference between antibodies and T cells.
But they weren't tested for T cells, which also provide resistance.
So that means that immunity in Sweden and immunity globally is probably larger than we have previously appreciated. At least that is our current thought.
And that's a narrative that some American conservatives are grasping onto. Why bother with lockdowns and masks when you can allow people to go about their normal lives, catch the virus, and build immunity, whilst only shielding the elderly and vulnerable?
Okay, so we have our correspondent trying to speak in dramatic terms. Conservatives are grasping. They're trying to say that a person such as myself is desperate to believe anything. I'm not desperate to believe anything. I believe in facts. I believe in science. Okay? Again, not to beleaguer the point, you never showed us the death. You never even showed us the hospitalizations, okay? And we just saw that you are willing to mislead people, to lie to people. Why are you showing us a graphic chart about cases positive while talking about deaths? Why are you misleading people like that? And here we're talking about T cells. T cells have your ability to fight it and create the antibody, okay? Starts with your T cell and the ending is the antibody. So if the what are you saying? Are you angry that the virus isn't more virulent? That the virus isn't present more to come in contact with people, to have more people create more antibodies, okay? That's the problem with this crazy ass fake pandemic. It just can't be satisfied. So now here in this report, you're not satisfied because the virus isn't virulent. It isn't spreading like wildfire. It never did, okay? So listen some more.
Swedish government urges caution, pointing to how their safety guidelines were followed by most Swedes, but also a universal healthcare and welfare system that provides a safety net for anyone falling ill, or in April at the height of the Swedish
lockdown, but we have many.
The beginning, as health minister, safety net for anyone falling ill or out of lines were followed by most Swedes, but also a universal healthcare and welfare system that provides a safety net for anyone falling ill or out.
Apologies for jumping around like that. I was trying to draw your attention. This, in case you're not following along, this would be the political shoe dropping. We often hear the radical left talk about or claim that it's conservatives that are politicizing the fake pandemic. That is not true. Number one, most of us conservatives, I don't even know if I'm really ready to call myself a conservative, because there's a great deal that I could definitely fight with the GOP. Anyway, let's save that for another time. It's the political shoe dropping. You are showing your hand here in America. Okay? This was part of, because the fake pandemic's purpose is to bring in a new world order of a multitude of things that they want to implement, cashless society, so that they can control your shopping is just one. Quick side note, when I did my shopping online at Walmart, checked out with my food stamps, mostly food stamps, the total came to about $260. A couple hundred, to 200 of that was food stamps, okay, and what is it? The rest was either over my allotment of stamps or cash, things that can't be paid for. The point is that the next day, I got an alert email saying that my order was canceled, claiming that there wasn't a delivery slot available. This doesn't make any logical sense. Why not just simply send me an alert saying the time slot that you elected is not available? Can you please select another time slot and we'll prepare your order? It made no sense whatsoever to cancel the entire thing. What this does, though, is that it can cause a delay depending on your bank, the charging back of the money, because the money had been taken out of the accounts, the food stamp and the cash bank account. Sending it back is going to take several hours for you to, because they have an option to press the button and reorder all your items, You can do that easy enough, but it takes several hours for the money to go back in. And I'm sorry, I don't have a big fat bank account where I can reorder the same thing multiple times, and just simply wait for the hold. They put a hold on your accounts. For the hold to be transferred back, I have to wait because I am low income, so I have to wait. And isn't that what I was saying? It's all about making poor people wait for wealthier people to shop first. They get their items first. They get the pick of the litter first. And then when I go to reorder, because quite frankly, because I reordered everything, but frankly, I'm waiting now for them to say to me in the next emails, we're sorry, these items were not available and it's now canceled. And the whole point is that everything that I wanted, it was available. Okay? And you can believe it, or, I'll leave it to you whether you want to believe it or not, whether there was an actual delivery person available or not. But the point that I'm making is that they are causing poor people to wait. They bounce our orders back, they cancel our orders, and they make us wait, number one, for the monies to come back into our account, and number two, for us to order it again. And by the time we do order it again, the food has all been picked over by wealthier people. Just to let you know what's going on in society. Okay, here it's all about America. That's what they're angling for. I don't know if you've been following PBS's channel. They keep putting out a lot of stuff about Sweden and their universal health care and blah, 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 blah. And of course, here I am. I finally have my health insurance, but I can't go see a doctor. I'm too disabled to go into their doctor's offices, and so I am just simply left to suffer with no medical treatment. There is also a religious component. I do see your Mark of the Beast, your mask as being precursor to Mark of the Beast that I don't want to participate in. Would you have a Muslim man shave off his beard before seeing the doctor? Would you have a Jewish person take off their yarmulke before seeing the doctor? If it's not involving her head or face, would you have a Muslim woman remove her hijab? I don't know, maybe there might be some sort of procedure where she'd have to, but the point that you get the point that I am making. And of course, we heard a lot in our hospital videos. We heard the nurse squelching about putting people's lives at risk. And of course, the reality is the moment you step out your front door, you are taking on risk. Okay, you're talking about a virus that ended up proving no more deadly than the common flu. We've already seen articles talking about using flu shots to treat it. They're tweaking flu shots. The hoax is falling apart. That's my point. I'm sorry, my mind is still slow and sluggish, and I'm still recovering from it all. So, yeah, I know the officers were trying to make allusions to my cycling. I've heard other people on the channel say, if you can ride a bike, then you're perfectly fine. Need I remind you, Bob Harper from NBC's Biggest Loser was feeling perfectly fine when he dropped dead almost in the gym, lifting weights. So we have a lot of people that are just simply they make their assumptions. You know, we saw security guards making medical decisions about me. We saw police officers making medical decisions about me, just summarily ruling that you can do it. There's no problem. And of course, like I was saying, like I was saying with the whole piggyback analogy, obviously I didn't expect any of the officers to actually give me a piggyback ride. You know, even if they were damn fool enough to take me up on the offer, I wouldn't do it because it would be an instantaneous, lifelong back injury, and being a back sufferer myself, I would never inflict that on another person. But yes, these are my health issues that I have to struggle with. I got, half a nose here, and an injured windpipe. I was telling the nursing staff, I know I'm all off topic, I should be supposed to be talking about this, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that have you ever had the misfortune of having dry heaves? Okay, that's your esophagus and your stomach, okay? When they take the chest x-rays, they say my lungs are clear, and I believe them. I believe that it is clear. It's the windpipe, the larynx, the throat. It's like a type of windpipe version of the dry heaves. And it's only when I speak. Like right now, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm fighting the urge to cough. When I speak, the reverberation of my larynx, it somehow irritates my windpipe. And speaking does require more air volume than just simply sitting. And breathing, I can sit for hours and breathe just fine without a single cough. But when I go to speak, after a couple of minutes of speaking, I like that. It's like a type of, that's why I do like that. It's like when you dry heave, like, it's my windpipe. It's like, it feels like it's contracting, and it's making me cough. And the reason why I feel like it's contracting, it's as if, this is my medical my theory, my medical theory. I think because everything seems to be connected with this damn nose of mine. Deviated septum, can't breathe at night. You're basically, end up suffocating. Oh, the mouth opens up. As I've said before, living in a tent, mold, pollen, all sorts of stuff. Down, and down the throat. And it's like, I don't even know if there's anything embedded down there in the windpipe. Because it's not the lungs, it's the windpipe, the nerves. Your body has certain automatic mechanisms where if you do start to inhale dust particles, your windpipe will shut up to protect your lungs. And that's what it feels like. My windpipe, whenever I speak, the reverberation, it makes my windpipe want to clamp up, and I end up coughing, and that's what's going on. And of course, I can't bring this information to the doctor. I am discriminated against as a disabled person and as a person of spiritual beliefs. So I am left to suffer. I ended up getting health insurance, but it turned out to be a complete waste. I won't get to see the doctor. All right. What do you say we get back to this? Finish it out, maybe. So yeah, the deep state wants to bring in healthcare, and nobody seems to want to remember what so many of our grandparents. I've said it before on this channel. Go talk. If you have your grandparents with you still in your life, go talk to them. They want to give you their Medicare. It's shit insurance. Always has been. Old people have been bitching about Medicare forever. Okay? It's a really fucked up healthcare system. Every little thing they can do to cut care here. Medicare has been suffering from, as the term goes, death of 1,000 cuts, as in cuts in quality. Death of 1,000 cuts for years, for decades. They've just been scaling back and scaling back and scaling back. And now we're at a point where, yeah, they'll give you your health care as long as you're willing to sit there in front of your cell phone. What is it they call it? Telemedicine? And let me guess, you're probably fool enough to believe that that's quality healthcare. Good God. I want to do a whole different segment on... No, I probably will never get around to it. Why would you discuss your medical care over teleconference? You understand that's not secure, right? Do you understand that? For me to conduct a teleconference on healthcare over this phone that I have, the people involved in collecting sensitive medical information about me, it's going to be number one, my carrier. Okay, so whoever your carrier is, they're going to get a transcript of everything said between you and your doctor. The manufacturer of the phone is going to get a transcript. So whether it's Apple, Android, Motorola, whomever, okay, they're going to get transcripts, okay? And then you're going to get then Google, because Google creates the operating system for this phone. They're going to get a transcript. These organizations want to know everything about you. And it's not always for selling you shit. It's something that people, when they click the accept and okay, they think it's okay, you just want to sell me a bunch of crap. Why do you think the fake pandemic rolled out at this particular time as opposed to another particular time? They've been watching you very carefully for years now. Psychologically conditioning you. How do we make you empathize? How do we make you outraged? All those emotion cons that you tap on Facebook, that's a tool that lets Facebook know whether or not the experiment that they just conducted, has it worked? Has it yielded the results that they wanted? And there you are, just giving them the feedback that they want. Okay? Let's see, do I really want to say this in this particular video? I'm going to say it so that you can understand the full scope of just how your mind is being both conditioned, primed, crafted, okay, controlled. Social media, Twitter, Facebook, whomever it may be, up comes a story about a heinous act of child abuse, sex abuse, debauchery, horrible, horrible shit, right? Now, yes, Facebook, they're expecting the usual comments. Kill him now, in jail, big muscular black dude, rape him, all this horrible, all this stuff, right? Okay. But that isn't really what Facebook is watching. You see, they're going to collect your comment, and they'll make note of it, okay? And it doesn't make a difference if you switch your cookies off and wipe your cookies clean. You're a fool to believe that that actually works, okay? What then happens is a type of time clock starts. You saw your horrible debauchery story. The first thing you want to know is, are you interested in more stories about child sex abuse, stuff like that? Okay. But then, as the clock runs, they're waiting to see whether or not you end up opening up a browser window and watch porn. I'm serious. They want to know the time between reading something about child sexual abuse and then seeking out legal, mind you, not, nothing illegal, but they want to see how between the time between reading the sex abuse and seeking out sexual stimulation. How close together does this happen? This is how they're watching, analyzing you. Despite your comment about the child sex abuser may have been the most intense one made on thing. Okay? Rip them apart, all kinds of stuff, right? But after reading it, in less than a half hour later, you were jerking off online, watching porn. Facebook wants to know, were you sexually stimulated about the child sex abuse? They are watching you. Just saying. Okay, let's get back to this and round this out, shall we? But yeah, don't get me wrong. Universal health care, I guess it's better than no health care at all. But please don't ever mistake it for being quality health care. It's not.
Out of work, Minister Lena Hallengren oversaw the government response from the beginning as health minister.
We didn't have a full or a forced lockdown, but we have many changes, a large number of changes in the Swedish society. I mean, during the spring, we had distance studies or online studies for all upper secondary, for the universities and the adult schools. We also had, I think, 30-40% people working from home. We had a lot of people staying home.
Okay, so she's talking about online studies for all. So we're also talking about free education, free college. Hey, I'll be the first one to admit that college is a big hustle. How much it costs is a hustle. But remember, I am fighting a fake pandemic. Just because you have legitimate issues with the government and the economy about how much shit costs, it's still no excuse for pulling off this fantastic hoax.
On sick leave because they have the slightest symptoms. You could go at the streets in the capital. You didn't meet almost anyone. We have lots of businesses with a very difficult situation because they didn't have any guests or customers. So lots of things were changed. You didn't have any cultural event, the sports event. So things were changed, but not in a forced way. I think that was the difference.
The Swedish economy shrank by 8% in the second quarter of 2020, the largest fall since records began. But what of the bigger price? The many elderly who died, some argue was sacrifice in the early days of the pandemic.
If you get the virus into the...
Okay, so what they just told you right there, they showed you an 8% shrink in their economy, and then they started talking about how elderly people died from the virus, okay? What they're trying to do is manipulate you into linking the two together. That because their lockdown wasn't basically draconian, wasn't to America's liking, basically, to the deep state's liking. They're trying to trick you into thinking that that's what caused these people's death, and that the the fake pandemic caused. Well, the fake pandemic did cause them to shrink their for their economy to lose 8%. You grounded all travel in the second quarter. Nobody was going anywhere, okay? So it's not a virus that caused this kind of economic destruction. It was you. You grounding everybody in place, okay? And then you used your retirement homes to bolster your number. I'm going to use a bushcraft analogy. Retirement homes were the feathering, okay? They were the feathered kindling to ignite your hoax, to ignite and fan the flames of your fake pandemic, okay? And of course that happened mostly in your democratic states. Should people, I don't know, maybe they should be brought up on charges. They probably should. All done to perpetrate this fantastic hoax. So yeah, that's what they want. The crashed economy is not just simply Sweden, but everybody's crashed economy. It was man-made, not by any kind of flu. That, again, largely 99% were just fine. Okay, 99%. If they come in contact with it, out come the T cells, out come the antibodies, and you're going to be just fine.
Those elder care homes, many of the persons living there are having very severe symptoms and also die. So that's why we have this, by law, that people were forbidden to visit the elder care homes, but that was not successful in all the way. But we also learned a lot of that.
All care home workers have since been retrained in hygiene protocols. The government here says it's too early to know what they did right, what they did wrong, or whether herd immunity to coronavirus is even a thing. In the
Elderly care home workers retrained in hygiene. I think what you really mean to say is just do your damn job, okay? Nothing new. They weren't taught anything new, okay? Senior homes, the reason why they are fucking death houses is because the $8 an hour or $10 an hour or whatever it's up to now, what, $12 an hour? Woo, ring a ding ding. The $12 an hour nursing assistants, okay? They don't give a shit about these people, okay? They will let you sit in your filth for days on end, all right? There won't be any kind of proper health care. Not mistaken, Lord rest his soul, the old man, when I saw him in his care home, I think last year, a couple months before he passed away, he was telling me that when he went for his shower, basically all the nursing assistant did was just sit him on the stool in the shower, turn on the water, and basically almost akin to just hose off, like you're hosing off the dog, Or then again, dogs get lathered up. But basically, I think he said that he was handed, he tried to, wash his arms and the parts of himself that he can wash. And the rest, we'll just hose you down. You see, it's not proper health care. It hasn't been for many, many years. This is nothing new. Okay, when they say they were retrained, bullshit. Just do the fucking job right the first time, alright? There's been no groundbreaking hygiene apparatus that's suddenly been invented. Okay? Soap and water, baby. Soap and water. Hygiene 101, okay? That's all the fuck you need. And of course, somebody that's going to do their damn job correctly. Alright, I guess I'll let this round out.
Meantime, they're preparing for a possible second wave this fall. It wouldn't be the first country to see a surge in the virus after apparently stamping it out.
Okay. Second wave. Oh, you mean the annual flu. Did I not say it? Everything I predicted, it came true. I told you they would put the fake pandemic on life support over the summer. How did they do this? Number one, CDC took hospitalizations off of the website. We don't want anybody having an actual number of just how few people are in hospitals. Step two, start talking about percentages. Okay? Don't use exact numbers anymore. Use percentages. Percentages can give you a bigger number to work with to scare people more. Step three, start talking about cases positive. Why? Because we who engineered these bullshit tests, we know that they test for antibodies. Every so-called positive that comes back means, congratulations, you're a person who can fight COVID on your own. You're producing antibodies that are keeping you from getting sick. So if you please, can you go home and quarantine? You know, because you might pass to somebody who also would be able to produce the antibodies just fine. And we know that from how few people were actually sick. Alright, like I say, I'm still recovering from everything that happened the other day, and that's it for now. Tell you, that's that windpipe. My vitals, man, they were a mess. As you saw, I was there in that lobby over an hour, sitting. So when I was finally taken in the back and treated, if you want to call it treated, I was given a chest x-ray. They drew some blood, basically sat me in a cool room, and point is that I wasn't exercising when they took my vitals first, and it was, I think, 166 over 122. Very high blood pressure, and that was all because of the stress that I was under there in the lobby. So we saw literally these medical personnel about to cause me to stroke out or have a heart attack. And of course, were that to happen, like I was saying in the video, they congregate in front of podiums, offer heartfelt condolences, talk about how sorry they are, and then they want to talk about being retrained. When they sat me in a cool room, I guess they call it a COVID room. It had some kind of a filter running in the corner, whatever. I can tell you right now, it's not like there was some sort of crazy. It's like from the way the sergeant and the hospital worker came up to me saying they were going to take me in the back, you would have thought that I was going to be taken someplace. Who remembers E.T., the whole hazmat scene at the end? You would have thought I would have gone into something like that. No. It's just, they just sat me in a corner somewhere. And anyway, when they ultimately took my vitals again a second time, it was with a blood pressure cuff that clearly was not meant for a person my size. There was hardly any pressure in the cuff. In other words, the attendant taking it, they deliberately wanted to manufacture a lower blood pressure reading to manipulate the results, to create, fake science that, oh, see, all he needed was just to calm down in a cool room and he's gonna be okay. No, that's, you didn't take the blood pressure reading correctly, so. And that is scary. That causes me a great deal of stress. So these are the people who are supposed to be saving our lives, and clearly, you know, they will be the instrument of your death. And all they're going to do is get in front of a podium, talk about how sorry they are, and what things they can do differently. All right, that's it. Let's see how long did this one suck? This went longer than 50 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ. All right, guys, that's it. Total Control 871.